Just a quick reminder guys, these narrations are best enjoyed with headphones on. Hey everyone, welcome to Autumnal Assault, a season of tactical and strategic games that will ensure that the leaves on the trees won't be the only thing that falls this year. This week I'll be taking the fight to Sega territory as we review this game. Can Spartan Group Omega fight off the Imperial Assault on Gallia? Let's find out! Right guys, you've been following my blog's YouTube channel. I've got two co-narrators. James? Yes, Sonic, what? Yes, Sonic, what's up? Yeah, about that. Better make that 3. Oh, who else? Who's all coming? Ah, Knuckles, how are you? I'm fine. Yeah, seriously, what took you so long, man? Yeah, well, it's been a little chaotic over the airport. I know, man. I mean, especially what's going on around in the world, all thanks to Thomas Cook's collapse. Right, so anyway, so Knuckles will now be helping me out with narrations. Right, so back to the review. Right, so I'll start if that's okay with you guys. Absolutely fine with me. Yeah, absolutely fine. Absolutely. Right, so anyway, the strategic RPG subgenre. This subgenre started out in the Genesis or Mega Drive era with titles such as Shining Force and Fire Emblem. Since then, this formula has been often replicated in other games such as Final Fantasy Tactics and Advance Wars. This game in particular is set in a more modern setting. Instead of having swords, axes and arcane magic, you'll be relying on tanks, sniper rifles and submachine guns to take down the enemy force, pun not intended, and secure victory on the battlefield. This game is set in Europa. The neutral nation of Gallia is being attacked by the Western Imperial Army. You play as Walking Gunther, a natural art fanatic who was caught up in the conflict, with Alicia, Melchiot and Bacon now conscripts in the Gallian military. It is up to you to command Squad 7 and turn the tide of the war. The accessibility scores are as follows. Right, first up we got the visibility section, which is again read by Tails. So Tails, off you go. Alright, so let's go. So visibility, we gave it 7. In strategic view, your units are represented by blue icons. The enemy forces are represented by red icons, which can be problematic. But on your turn, if you put your cursor over a unit and give specific name in the unit information, it's one of yours. But if it's the enemy's turn, the camera follows their units automatically. As you may know, red and blue are not their hardest yet with color blindness, but it should be addressed nonetheless. So Sega lost the scrum on that one. So what exactly does a scrum mean? Well, allow me to explain. A scrum is when the ball is dropped on the ground and the teams try to push the opposing team back, allowing your team to put the ball through their legs to gain possession of the ball. The Rugby World Cup has started at the time of posting, so there will be a few rugby puns in the next few weeks. So, which country are you supporting in this World Cup? Is it England, Scotland, the Irish, the Japanese? Let us know in the comments below. Right, next up, the audibility section, which is read by DGR narration team newcomer Knuckles the Echidna. Right, so here we go. Audibility, we gave it 7. Subtitles are enabled during cutscenes, but when other important events, when your scout spots an enemy unit, which is not subtitled, needs addressing, so you might encounter some difficulty while playing this game. Right, next up, mobility, which will be read by yours truly. Mobility we gave an 11. Although the interface is specifically designed for the use of a controller, you can use your trusty keyboard and mouse, well, for the PC version, which can be remapped. So Sega scored the try, they also scored the conversion. Right, to all the people who are unfamiliar with the sport of rugby, a conversion is a kick a goal to gain 2 additional points after carrying the ball to the back of the opponent's side of the field and touching the ground, known as a try. And last but not least, the gameplay section, which is again read by Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic, the floor is yours. Thanks a lot, James. So in gameplay, we got a 9.5. In terms of gameplay, the biggest criticism is the lack of multiplayer. On the other hand, these single-player only experiences are very rare these days. The story good, and the gameplay is very engaging. You'll be managing recruits and upgrades in your battalion. It is important to get the class composition that you have in your squad and deploying in each mission exactly right, as each and every class has its individual role. Scouts have a high movement range and are vulnerable to attack. As the name suggests, their main goal is to find enemy positions and run back to safety. Their single-shot rifles have very little impact when attacking. The Shock Trooper is the best anti-infantry class. Their submachine guns can tear through infantry, perfect for ambushing enemy infantry pushes. Tanks is the best thing when advancing to hostile territory. Most infantry can barely scratch their armor. Mortars can deal damage to multiple enemies at once. Their anti-armor shell is practically the best counter against other tanks. Their heavy machine guns can mow down infantry in seconds. Lancers are a tank's worst nightmare. Their heavy armor can absorb everything in a tank's arsenal. Their lances fire rockets which can reduce the tank to scrap metals in seconds. Finally, the engineer supports tanks and they can repair tanks and resupply infantry, but their defense is vulnerable and their attacks ineffective. The key to success is to use the class's abilities and strengths to their advantage as you take down your enemies in turn-based combat. There are stealth elements in there. If your units come into an enemy's line of sight, he or she will open fire immediately, so rushing into enemies, particularly for scouts, would normally suit in one of your soldiers getting killed. But the battlefields would contain towers, long grass, and sandbags which can be used to your advantage. For example, long grass hides the unit from view, allowing you to set up shock trooper ambushes to mow down enemy scouts or engineers. In summary, Valkyria Chronicles is a great modernization of the traditional tactical RPG subgenre. For a story-based single-player only game, this is pretty decent. If you're into XCOM, you might like this game. With the lack of multiplayer features as a shortfall, the skirmish mode has a fair bit of extra lifespan. The PC version does not demand much computing power. With this game being on Game Pass, this could be well worth a go. And the overall score is 86.25%. We at GGR would like to extend a fond farewell to Heather Blaskovitz-Sand, who's completed her last shift at game. The GGR staff would wish you the good luck in your future endeavors. See you guys in the next review. Spartan Commander 1998. Roll out, Spartan Company!